The movie begins with a handsome young man named Jack appearing outside the door with his crutches. His wounded leg has been healed and is now in a stage of recovery. Suddenly, two high-ranked officers called him for a personal meeting. A debriefing was initiated where the two officers wanted to know what happened back in China. They want to know every single detail, nothing more and nothing less. The two high-ranked officers remind Jack that President Roosevelt commends him and all of Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle's raiders. With such praise for Captain Jack, he replies with gratitude for the recognition. Jack starts his narrative by introducing how they launched off their Hornet, the 16B-25, on the flat top, where they are 700 miles off the coast of Japan. Tumultuous and buzzy noises that were coming from the aircraft were making the troops shiver while preparing to land somewhere. Jack is a prominent pilot and head of the aircraft, and before they soar off the sky, he checks all of his crew. With that, he and his crew fly off in a smoky, dark, indigo sky. Later, a semi-foggy day is clutched when Jack and his crew take action as they splash multiple bombs in Tokyo. Such terrifying bombs sprinkle some parts of Japan. Meanwhile, an oriental forest flashes on the screen, where the scenery of morning dew and chirping birds can be heard. A young woman named Ying trails her hands in the bamboo trees, and with that, she goes home and calls her daughter, Nunu. She guides her daughter and walks with her to the school. When she gets home, she feeds her silkworms and creates a tapestry using silk. She created a bag and embroidered vibrant yellow flowers. She will sell it and exchange it for cash. After that, she fetches Nunu, and they walk together. While walking, they meet the town head, Kai, one of her husband's closest friends. Kai then talks about Ying's mother-in-law, telling him she refuses to move out and be with them. Her reasons spell that they are happy, and she can accompany her daughter with such independence and hard work. As they go off to their home, Nunu confesses that she has been bullied. She said that it is a piece of bad luck to be a daughter of a widow. On the other hand, in a midnight sky with minimal lights, two high-ranked Chinese officers appear as they watch and firmly take a vision of the upcoming Americans who will cross the Chinese border. Jack and his crew are forcing themselves amidst the strong current of wind and rain. They will be heading to Zhou Airfield, but the phone call misinformed the two officers as they thought that it might be a malicious opponent attack, the Japanese army. With that false information and vision, they extinguish all the lights, including the runway where Jack and his crew might be landing. The team lost their vision while bringing the threat, survivability, and death abyss. Jack offers to take Plan B, where they must take a parachute to land since it's now or never. In that case, Jack falls to the ground without much noise but a question. Midnights are a threat for Nunu, for they hear the crash of planes and the whirring sound of it. An ounce of war noises, not a chirping bird or a hoot of an owl, is what they constantly hear. But the morning comes, and she has to live a day and survive. While Nunu is walking in a meadow forest, she sees an unconscious man hanging on a tree branch. With that, she immediately returns to her house and calls her mama. Ying checks out if Nunu is telling the truth, and once she sees it with her own eyes, it is true. They go off to see the town head, Kai, to help them hide the wounded soldier. They then realize that the American soldiers are the Chinese ally, and the Japanese army is the opposing force. With that thinking, they have to hide Jack somewhere he can't be seen. This must be a secret that no one should know, even their family and friends. Kai, Ying, and Nunu decide to hide the wounded Jack in the cave. In that case, the Japanese Imperial Army found out about the incident, occupying the province with such threat and force. Captain Shimamoto called out the residents and asked them with coercive intent. The Japanese army searched for the Americans, to execute them or to chain them with torture and maltreatment. Captain Shimamoto calls the headman, Kai, and asks him for the location of the American crew. But the Japanese captain doesn't beg for mercy, and with that, he orders Kai to get on his knees. The captain shows off who is the boss and who dominates this town, suddenly blasting Kai's head, which illustrates whoever hides something from him will suffer the same fate as Kai. After the incident, Ying gathers information about what happened to the rest of the American crew. The barterman chit-chats that the Japanese caught 4 airmen from the plane and were searching for the pilot. On a gloomy morning, Ying visited Jack, but with his defense mechanism, he scared the hell out of her. But then she tries the following day again by bringing him water in her embroidered bag with a food price. But then, when Ying hears that the Japanese will inspect the forest, she fetches Jack and hides him under her house. Jack then gets a bad fever as the days pass, but Ying's motherly nature emerges. Hence, she takes care of him by pressing some herbal medicines into his leg and feeding him as much as possible. But then, a surprise visit happens to Nunu's school, where Captain Shimamoto interrupts the class. He was holding Ying's embroidered bag and asked the teacher if he recognized it, but he didn't. The captain lets the bag be passed around so the kids will identify the owner of it. Until it stops at Nunu, Her expression is vivid as she sees her mother's embroidered bag that was retrieved in the cave. Hence, the captain starts to suspect Nunu. With that suspicion from the captain, he visits Ying's house and inspects it himself. Luckily, Jack is hidden, but the captain continues to check every detail of the house and asks some questions. Ying then offers some tea to the captain, but he refuses and eventually leaves. As the rain splatters heavily on the night, Nunu is studying, but Ying insists that they let Jack out of the basement. Ying accompanies Jack to sit down, giving him water to drink throughout. While she prepares their food, Jack communicates with Nunu and introduces himself. He even shows her some whistling skills by tuning an American song. After that, they eat their dinner, and it seems like Jack eats like a pig, as Nunu humorously says. He tries to communicate by drawing some figures and explaining something through body language because, this time, there is a communication barrier towards them, and that is language. While Ying is trying to make silk, Jack looks at her tenderly. There are times when Ying looks at him, too, like unconsciously staring at a shirtless Jack who is taking a short water dip in his lean body. One morning, Ying accompanies Nunu to school and orders Jack to sit tight and go back under the floor since he should be hidden, or worse, the Japanese might see him. Unfortunately, Jack refuses and goes outside, knowing he wants fresh air. On the other hand, Nunu's teacher, June, approaches Ying. He tells what happens right at the school when the Japanese captain inspects them and accuses Ying that she is the owner of the silk bag. When Ying returns home, she sees Jack outside their house and fixing their roof. Ying flashes her angry emotions toward Jack because he shouldn't be outside, or they will all be killed. This encounter eventually leads to an argument. Later that day, Ying is preparing their food, but seeing this handsome young man suffering on his knees seems irritable. So she leaves and goes up to the forest to find some bamboo and create an improvised crutch for him. Meanwhile, Nunu and Jack start to get closer to one another as he teaches Nunu how to whistle an American song. Ying comes home with a 2-piece of bamboo logs. She crafted a clutch by tying the silk in between. The rain showers again at night, and a hot dinner is a perfect pair in cold hazy weather. The three of them eat their dinner and are happy, smiling, and feeling bliss amidst the danger. Sometimes, nights are safer and calmer than the morning. Jack spells out his gratefulness to Ying and Nunu for helping him that much. With that, a strong connection between Jack and Ying forms as they gaze into each other's eyes like a magnet with negative and positive energy. While Ying fixes the silk in his legs, Jack holds her hand, and she embraces it and accepts what might form between them. Right after a blissful night, Captain Shimamoto surprises them with a visit in the morning. Ying took so long to open the door because he wanted Jack to hide under the floor again. Shimamoto remembers how Ying offered him tea last time and wants to be served again. He sits on the table, and Jack sees both of them just by peeping. But then, Shimamoto orders Ying to come closer and closer to him. He offers that Ying should comfort him since being a widow is nonsense anymore. Ying refuses, but Shimamoto keeps insisting and tells Ying to put off her top, but still, she refuses and cries. The dominant feature of Shimamoto is a threat, and he suddenly slaps Ying. He coercively lays her down and rips off her clothes. She can only cry while feeling Shimamoto's force of touch. Jack sees what is happening and tries to aim his gun through Shimamoto's head. He musters up his courage and shoots the Japanese captain, who is abusing Ying. Shimamoto falls off dead, and out of panic, they bury his vile body under the floor. Meanwhile, at Nunu's school, June hears her whistling a foreign song, so he insists they should go home and accompany her. He drags Nunu down to her house, and as they reach her home, Ying interferes with his intent to go inside. But then June refuses, and as he speaks English, Jack slowly comes outside while holding his gun. June wants to help him because he works with the guerrillas and says he can help him get out of there and go to Chungking. June insists that there's a boat behind the mountain and that the guerrillas will come for him and take him there. Jack let June know what they did to Shimamoto, and he was shocked. They should get out of their house as early as possible before finding out about Shimamoto's missing body. This is the only night that seems so furiously dangerous. Nunu searches for what is happening as the Japanese army makes noise. Ying and Jack kiss each other passionately as if it were their last kiss. When Nunu finds out that the Japanese are coming over to their house, the three immediately run as fast as they can. When they meet June and the guerrillas, they lead them off so they can get behind the mountain. The Japanese army locates them and heads for their trails. Finally seeing them, the enemy showers them with bullets. The exchange of fire leads to some of the guerrillas dying, but June sacrifices himself by holding the bomb as soon as one of the Japanese officers tries to kill him with a sword. Ying and Jack run as fast as they can, but when a member of the guerrilla spots them, Ying hands Jack to the soldier and runs first. Unknowingly, a Japanese sniper is hiding in the bush and aiming for his target. He then sees Ying running, and with that, He cocks his gun and aims to shoot her. A loud tumultuous bang ascends as the bullet passes through Ying's heart. Nunu witnesses what had happened to her mother, but she can only cry mercilessly. Jack goes to Ying's lifeless and wounded body, but a soldier picks him up since they have to leave. However, as the days pass, there are times that the destiny of Nunu and Jack is in a sphere of split fault tendency. Sometimes, people try to separate them, but Jack tries not to. He even wants to adopt Nunu, but Captain Jack Turner has more essential missions to face, and there is no such time to adopt a kid. The general insists that somebody else could focus more on Nunu. Finally, a Chinese couple is willing to adopt and provide what their mother wishes for. With that, Nunu bids her last farewell to Jack. The movie ends after 15 years, and Jack writes Nunu a letter and tucks in Ying's cut hair. He tells Nunu in words that her mother did not die in vain. Instead, she died for the Chinese people with pride and patriotism. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.